Bettina. Come on. Say what? Come on. Say what? We got hot topics. We got what the fudge. So bring it home. Say what? Bring it home. Say what? We got questions. We got the answers. You wanna chit? You wanna chat? You wanna talk about this and talk about that? You're in the right place to hear the facts. Bring it home. Say what? Bring it home. Say what? The ladies are bringing the conversation. So join us on Say What across the nation. Bring it on, y'all. Say what? Come on. Say what? Bring it on. Say what? Come on. Say what? Bring it on. Say what? Come on. Say what? Bring it on, y'all. Say what? Come on. Say what? Bring it on.
Say what? Y'all, I got my stuff together. It's getting warm. I'm excited. Say what? We all in today. Welcome, 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 welcome to our listeners. Ladies, hello, hello. Miss Vanessa, how you doing?
I'm just peachy. Like you said, the sun is out and it's starting to get warm. My kind of weather. Yes, yes, yes.
My kind of weather. Miss Bettina, what say you?
I say what?
Y'all know we love Miss Bettina. It doesn't matter. We got a little bit of a delay, but we all good. She's still intact.
Yes,
so, ladies, it is wonderful to see you. It is almost springtime. I love the brighter colors. Miss Bettina with her lips are just looking luscious. We just doing it all, doing it all, doing it all. So y'all know we can't go another further without the word of God. The bishop has been working out some things, so we had to take care of the scripture. Miss Vanessa, she gonna be the junior bishop today. Vanessa, what is it that thus saith the Lord?
Now, see, you're gonna be the junior bishop today because
no, I'm 4 juniors in. 4 juniors in.
I got the stories right after this, but I can bring you the word. You know, I can bring that word. If you
That's all right.
You just hold on here just 1 second.
I tell you what, you bring the understanding. I'm going to bring the word. I'm going to read it. It says, Luke 1:45, chapter 1, verse 45, because there are not 145 chapters in Luke. Okay, let me correct that. So Luke chapter 1, verse 45 states, great favor rests upon you, for you have believed every word spoken to you from the Lord. So, Miss Vanessa,
yes, ma'am,
what you think about this word? Great favor rests upon you, for you have believed every word spoken to you.
So it sounds like the favor rests upon that person because they have exercised their faith. By believing the word, you exercise the word. So that favor, they've got that favor because they have walked in faith on whatever it is they were doing throughout their lives. They've walked in faith. They've shown faith. They believed God. They took God at his word. When you take God at his word, when you try the spirit by the spirit, you can't help but win. When you're walking in faith, you're letting God know, I trust you. I trust you, Lord. I trust and believe in your word. And because in Luke, they walked in favor, they walked in faith, that favor was bestowed upon them. Oh my goodness. Wouldn't it be nice to have God come and say, great favor has been bestowed upon you because you have shown thyself worthy.
Actually, that is correct. And this story is the Christmas story. This is Mary, and the angel has come to her and said that you are blessed and highly favored, right? So the scripture is saying that Mary has great favor on her, but the important part is that she believed every word that angel said. Now that's where it gets challenging. That's where it gets challenging.
But yet she knew, whatever they said would happen to her was going to happen. And she walked in and she didn't argue with him. She didn't say, well, let me think about this. She believed. And because
she believed it, she didn't question it, she accepted it. And as a result, great favor rested on her.
Great favor.
If we talk for real, somebody show up, in the middle of the night looking like whatever. First of all, we gonna pull a weapon out because I don't know who you are, right? And she accepted what he said. So that is the challenge because that's not something we do all the time. We struggle with accepting when God says that we are blessed. Miss Bettina, what do you think about the scripture? This is something where the angel showed up in the middle of the night, told her that you are blessed and highly favored, pardon me, and she accepted it. What do you think about that? What do you think about that in real time?
No, we're delayed. So I'm going to talk super slow. I just think that I think, like you said, the Angels came in, and some of it I did miss because of my technical difficulties, and I do apologize to our listeners. Um, just the fact that she was blessed in this way, and I think we today don't know how sometimes to receive a blessing because it doesn't necessarily look like what we want it to be. So I think we have a difficult time receiving it or even
Absolutely.
believing it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because if
I agree
somebody
with
came
I
to me
agree
and
with
told
that.
me that I was going to have a baby right now, just miraculously, I'm going to be looking at them cross-eyed, and I'm going to try to distance myself as far away from said person as possible. So, I don't know if I'd react like Mary and say, okay, all right, no,
All right, Sarah. All right, Sarah, because you know you come at 99 trying to have a baby.
no, thank
You
you.
know, we know
No,
we
thank
we're
you.
not doing that. We're not doing that.
No,
But you
thank
know
you.
what I think to things that we have been blessed with that we didn't necessarily believe that we were going to get.
Oh, absolutely.
So with that being said, I was blessed with a big old baby boy that was almost 12 pounds. I couldn't even hold the Joker in the bed because he was so big. So looking at the blessing of what that was, I didn't necessarily see it as that.
Absolutely.
So I think sometimes we just struggle with what's being said. You know, God said you're going to do such and such. You go, mm-mm. The first thing you say is, mm-mm. I don't know about that. But what was said about Mary is she accepted. She accepted
Right.
what was said. That's the challenge that we have, especially in this day and age. So she was blessed and highly favored, and favor rested on her. That's a blessing in itself.
Absolutely.
So I just admire Mary. We always only think about Mary around the time of Christmas, but to think of whom she was, because she was here even after Christ ascended. She was with the apostles when they were anointed with the Holy Spirit. So to watch your son go through that and to see him ascend is an amazing thing. So she's not just a Christmas story. She has an amazing life that can be an
Absolutely.
example to others.
She's a great example of great faith. Great faith.
Absolutely. 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 So Miss Vanessa, what's going on in the world? What's going on? What's going on?
Okay, here we go. Now you're talking. Um, so real quick, Trump might actually face some charges. Their prosecutors signaled criminal charges for Trump. Um, let's see, help a Lord. According to the New York Times,
If I
um,
had a fan, I'd be say that.
according to the New York Times, the former guy was told, I almost slipped. The former guy was told that he could appear before a Manhattan grand jury next week if he wishes to testify, a strong indication that an indictment could soon follow. So he might actually be facing criminal charges. Um, this came about because the charges he could face came for his role in the payment of hush money to porn star Stormy Daniels. So you remember that? Remember he tried to give her hush money, but it was wasn't it Michael Cohen that gave her the money on his behalf? Or anyway,
That's right.
I
That's
was on
because
his-
Trump doesn't write any emails or
right.
write any checks to preserve himself.
So he could be asked to testify, which is a signal that charges are pending. So we'll keep you posted on that. They're not playing with him in New York.
So, Miss Bettina, what do you think about this? Him possibly being charged, and they getting something with Stormy Daniels, as old as that story is. What do you think about that?
Did we lose her?
I'm not sure. She got on camera. Miss Bettina, you still there?
I think we might have lost her.
There she is.
Okay.
We can hear you, Bettina. Go ahead. I'm not sure if it's coming through. It's not coming through.
Yeah, I think we lost her.
But I think, again, the fact that we're getting him on this, Vanessa, you and I were talking about Al Capone, one of the biggest criminals, was gotten on
Wasn't it
tax evasion.
Yeah, tax evasion for him.
Tax evasion. So with that being said, it's an issue with getting somebody on something legit.
Right.
They find the smallest things, whatever's going to work, to kind of get him on there. So that's
they're looking, they're digging. They're going back on some of this stuff that I thought they should have gotten him on to begin with. I just don't understand it. The average person would have never gotten away with things as long as said person has. So I don't know. We'll keep you posted on that to see if anything will come about.
Right. We're gonna try to get Miss Bettina, whether it's by phone or whatever, but we're gonna try to get her in there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Also, last week, I'm sure you saw the sad story about the 4 Americans who were kidnapped in Mexico. And it was a case of mistaken identity. They were, as they crossed the border, they crossed over into La Laguna Matamora, Mexico. And as they crossed over in, they were then chased and shot at. And during that time, they were kidnapped, and then 2 of the 4 Americans were killed. They've since repatriated the 2 bodies, but 2 survived and 2 were killed. It was a case of mistaken identity. And on ABC News, they showed where the 5 alleged perpetrators who committed these acts, the cartel who has taken ownership of what has occurred, they have since allegedly turned over the 5 people who committed these acts. They dropped them off, handcuffed, and dropped them off in the same location as in the area where the 4 people were kidnapped. So it's just a sad case all around. We're praying for all families involved, the 2 who were kidnapped, as well as the 2 who have survived. But we'll just keep everyone in prayer. And the State Department has issued a warning to Americans when they're traveling to Mexico to be careful. And actually, they've issued a warning not to travel to Mexico altogether. So we'll just keep everyone in prayer there on what's happening.
And with that being said, Vanessa, I think it's interesting of them going to Mexico to just go get, cosmetic surgery, and then somebody is killed. It's just very sad.
That's the norm. I mean, people travel out of country. They travel to foreign countries to get cheaper plastic surgery.
Right.
As you recall, I think it was Usher Raymond's ex-wife, Tamika, traveled, I believe it was Brazil. I could be wrong. I have to look that up. But I believe it was Brazil where she almost died during a plastic surgery event there. So it's not abnormal for people to travel outside of the U.S. to have various plastic surgery surgeries. And so them going to Mexico, Mexico being one of those places where you can have certain procedures done um, at a cheaper price. So it wasn't abnormal for them to go there for that. It's just sad that the events that have occurred has taken place. So um,
Absolutely. I just think it brings to light. I know that it's common, a common thing that people are doing, but I think the real issue is that we really need to start examining what's happening. Unfortunately, there are people who have passed as a result of doing things out of the country. When you do things out of the country, of course, they're not held to the standards that they're held in this country. And the risks are just too high, but I know people do it, but I think sometimes we need to review that and make sure, is this something that I need to do? Because you go into someone else's country, they're not going to handle things like they handle in this country. The drug
they don't
cartel
care.
has been known a lot for what's on the other side of that line. So was it worth it?
They don't care that there are risks. They're there with one thing and one thing only in mind, and that's to have the surgery that they're looking for. So I'm sure they've thought about all of that, and I'm sure a great bit of them are aware of the possibilities of something going wrong, but in the end they have one goal, and that's to have the surgery that they desire. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and then one last quick story: Chris Rock finally addressed the slap between he and Will Smith at last year's Oscars during his Netflix show. Did you get an opportunity to see that?
I saw clips of it. And I'm interested on your take on that. I'm interested in how you saw what occurred.
I think he's starting to his journey towards healing. Um, I actually enjoyed the show. I mean, I thought it was a good show. I thought he addressed it in his own way, and I actually liked it. I saw he was blasted a lot online for various things. In some area, it said that he's been known to degrade Black women. Maybe I'm missing something there, but again, not saying that that's not true. I'm just missing it. Maybe I have to go and find those instances. But I liked the special. I think he addressed it in his own way, and I think he is probably on his journey towards healing. Um, he blasted Will, and he gave his take on what was really taking place. He said everyone knew that the real issue with Will was not with him, but with Jada and her making him look foolish with admitting that she had the entanglement with her son's best friend or a friend of her son's, and then interviewing Will about it. He also noted how after that interview from their Red Table Talk show, how everyone called Will and told him he was foolish. They called her names. They told him, they were pretty much giving him condolences after that occurred. So they felt that the pressure of having people see him as a weak person after that, all of that was a buildup and why he chose to come on stage and attack him.
Okay.
Thoughts?
I struggled.
Well,
I
I
Go ahead,
listen.
Bettina.
Go ahead, Bettina.
However, I just watched it today. I've never been so big whether he got slapped or not. I just never have because of so much. So it's not a judgment. I just don't particularly care for some of the stuff he was having saying about and then I know it was comedy, about yeah you should be able to abort babies, kids all the way up to 4 years old or 5 years old because you did first report card or something. I think he did a good getting saying what he had to say about Will and Jada. However, some of the other stuff, the other material was a little hard for me to listen to.
And I would agree. I would agree with that. I struggled with, him saying that he, watched Emancipation so that he could see Will get whipped. That's not something you play with.
That was a
I don't,
movie.
I get it, but I'm
You,
saying you
you
made
you
the
do know he wasn't actually whipped, right?
I do know I saw the movie, but I'm just saying in general, I didn't care for it. And it might be I'm a little biased because I'm not a huge fan of Chris Rock as a comedian. So that may be biased as well. But from the time the slap happened up until that point, I've been a little indifferent with the, let's say, trends of how everybody else sees it. I have a different view, and I
What's your
feel like
view? What is your
my
view
view is
about
my
the
view is
slap?
I'm not condoning any type of any type of violence or anything. That's not my thing. But I understood about this person talking about your spouse. I understood, all of that, the anger that led up to it. Should it have been a slap? No. But again, I just don't feel the same way that most have. So as a result of Chris Rock being angry, he has every right to be angry. He has every right to be feeling demoted or denigrated on national television, actually global television, because now television is global. And how it went down. But at the same time, I still don't feel as though that Chris Rock handles everything well. I still think he's seething. I don't think he's on his way to
Oh,
healing. I think
he's still
he was
mad,
going to find a way to be able to make money from the situation, and he
right?
did, as so he should.
Right?
Okay. Either that or I sue you. One of the two. You can get
But
your
you
money from
didn't.
it. But at the same time, like I said, as far as, some things that were said, I didn't necessarily agree. But I think that is me being biased about, Chris Rock as a comedian. I'm not a huge fan.
Bettina, can you hear us?
She can hear.
I
Yes,
wanted.
I can hear you. And let me go ahead.
Oh, no, no. I would go ahead. I'll let you speak first, and then I just was going to ask you a quick question. Go ahead.
No, you can ask because your problem. It'll take me forever to get my conversation. So you go ahead and ask the question.
No, I just wanted to get your thoughts. Do you think there was a question that was answered or asked? Do you think that there are certain things that comedians should not be allowed to say? Do you think a form of censorship should take place with comedians?
As the expert on the panel.
As a resident comedian,
So I don't believe that we should be censored. I don't believe we should be censored as much as we should censor ourselves. I think morally we should have a compass that things are offensive to something. Because I noticed in the audience some laughing. However, it was that light laughing where I don't know if I should laugh at this because it's a little off color and not
nervous
necessarily
laughter.
color wise. But it was like, hey, like when he started talking about abortion and things like that. I think that got a little sideways. I think the last statement that he made about not responding because he has parents, I think that was a good way to close that conversation or to close the
Hmm.
show.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
I agree. I agree. I think, some humor can kind of catch you off. Think back of Def Comedy Jam days and stuff that was said, and everything was not, in my opinion, appropriate.
It
They were,
wasn't, but we were a less sensitive society then as well.
I don't know, I was younger and I just didn't
We
let
were.
certain
You
things
shouldn't have been
bother
watching
me.
it. You should have been watching it anyway.
And remember, Def Comedy Jam came on in the middle of the night, like midnight.
You
So I
should have
had
been in
a,
bed sleeping. You
I
should have
had
been
a
in bed.
pillow to my face trying to be quiet and not
Should have
wake
been
the
in
baby.
bed.
But that's beside the point. But I'm just saying in general, yes, it is a different time.
It's a big
Some
time,
things that are
different time.
said. I heard a video. I saw a video with Cedric the Entertainer talking about, certain things that he used to say back in the day would just be classified as you can't say now.
You
You
now,
know.
now it's a different world. We are a more sensitive society, and Richard Pryor and the likes back in the day would have never made it today. Never made it
No,
today.
I don't think he will. I don't think he would because again, because Richard Pryor was doing N-word stuff and
That's why I say he would have never. They would have never. The people in his era during that day would have never made it.
absolutely. So I think it is a different era. It's a different time. But I related specifically to what actually occurred, because I just think that Chris Rock is still seething.
He is. He's
I
angry
don't think
still.
that he's on the road to recovery. Do you feel
I
like that they
disagree. I
will
think
ever
him
become
doing
friends
this
again?
show. I think him doing this show is the first step towards him healing. Now, how long it takes, I'm not here to tell him he needs to get over it. That's up to him. But I think, my opinion anyway, I think him doing this show is his first step towards any type of healing, because he didn't even talk about it before. Now he's talking about it, and that I don't think the millions they paid him hurt either, but he is talking about it, and I think this is his first step towards some sort of healing.
Right. Well, I think he's talking about it. I just think, do you feel like they'll ever be friends again?
Maybe when they're 80s, 90s, maybe, but right now, not anytime soon.
What
I
you
don't
say,
think
80s, 90s? You talking dementia area. You sit
oh,
up here
well,
so
that'd be the
80s
only
and
time, 'cause
90s.
then he won't remember anything. So, so I think he'll be friends then. That was probably mean, then some people might be offended by that, but it's a little just humor,
Miss
nothing.
Bettina, I'm gonna put that question to you. Do you feel like they'll ever be friends again? I'm not sure if she can hear us. Bettina, chime in when you can. Chime in when you can.
In the true sense of the word, friends, they may be publicly cordial.
Right.
Okay.
I agree
I
with you,
can see that.
Talisa, that I don't think it's healing for Chris Rock. I really don't. I think a lot of people got in his head and has been having conversations and been kind of messing with him, and he felt like he needed to have something to retaliate, because everybody around him is saying, "Well, my brother, I would have done this if it were X, Y, Z." I don't know that he's on the road to recovery or to healing.
And I agree with her, because again, the way it happened, how it happened, that is a struggle to try to come back from. That's why I said I don't think he's on his way to healing. I think he was trying to get his paper. That's what I was thinking. He was trying to get his paper, and this was the way he could get it. So I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to have. So this will be a topic that will be
Absolutely.
consistently discussed.
Absolutely.
Because I think as things unravel, they're in Hollywood, they're in a public area, so trying to see how they can make that work. Unfortunately, we live in a society where somebody's always trying to make a racket off of something that was done, and somebody will come back and make a movie from it. It'll be something crazy. So to be continued. We'll just say that.
Absolutely.
So thank you for the stories, Miss Vanessa. So we are celebrating Women's History Month. We just had Women's International Day, Women's International Day was this week, and then of course it's Women's History Month. We're celebrating the amazing things women have done in our world, women continue to do in our world. And I think, and consider me biased, we just resilient people. We able to take a licking and keep on ticking. Miss Vanessa, what do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, it's amazing how we get a month for, the men get a month, women get a month, Black people get a month. It's a month for everything. So why not celebrate women? And by us being women, happy National Women's Month. Yesterday was Women's Day. Happy belated National Women's Day, ladies. So I think we should be celebrated as much as we possibly can, because who rules the world anyway? Who runs the world?
Absolutely.
We may not be in all the positions, but we're there somewhere. We might be behind the
Absolutely.
man that's in the position, but we're there. We're there somewhere. We're running this. We're running this camp.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, sometimes we don't necessarily recognize that. And I think it's important to recognize the things that we do. And in that vein, we are talking today with Chef Samone, who is an amazing woman. She has done amazing things, and she just has a passion for cooking. She has been on the Food Network with all her dishes. Simone was running around people, just for the people that didn't see the show. She was running all around people, getting her stuff together. And we are so happy to have her on the show today with us today. Miss Chef Simone, what's up? How are you?
Hey, ladies, how are you? How you guys doing?
Doing wonderful, doing wonderful. We are so happy to have you with us today with all your glory and her beautiful glasses, and just that's just how she is in personality. I'm just letting y'all know that's just how she is. She is colorful in all her personality, and it's just a joy to be able to have her that I can call her friend. So love to introduce you, Miss Vanessa, who's on our show. Miss Bettina is having some technical issues, but she's chiming in where she can. And Miss Sonia, we're missing Miss Sonia today, but of course we'll see her the next time she comes. So I have the first question for you, Simone. What made you decide we were going to be a chef? When did that come about? Because when you and I met, that was not what you were doing.
Actually, no. When you and I met, it was on pause.
Okay.
The Lord was like, I need you here. And I thought I was going to write books. I thought that was over and done with. But honestly, the culinary field picked me. I always say that. I was the taster in the kitchen. So I'd run into people's pots, lift it up, taste it, and run. And my grandmother and my stepdad is who taught me how to cook, not my mom. My mom was she yelled too much. And I was like, okay, I got enough of this. I'm gonna go outside and play. But it wasn't until I was going into the army, and I had two MOSs to choose from. It was either military police or cater or chef, cook. Growing up in Brooklyn, don't give me no gun. That's a hard no. And my temper, all of that, I just was like, no, I don't think having a gun is going to be too good. So I went in as a cook, and it changed my life. It helped calm a temper. It gave me a sense of purpose, and just a love for international cuisine, honestly.
Absolutely. That sounds amazing. But you determined, don't put a gun in my hand. Don't do that.
No, I know. Mm-mm. I'd have been a shot of everybody. Especially going in as a Black female in the military in the late 80s. We still got racism now, but just imagine back then. And all of these commanding officers all come from these pockets in America that still ain't coming on the bandwagon.
Right.
So just imagine. Yeah, they'd be dead and I'd be in jail.
So let me ask, you went into the military and you became a cook.
Mm-hmm.
So what types of dishes, how did your culinary journey begin from there? What type of dishes were you serving your own, or did you have standard dishes you have to serve them, or did you start creating there?
They allowed me to create. The greatest thing was that I was stationed overseas. So I was stationed in Germany for 3 years. And so being in Germany, we had the German, we call them KPs, which is kitchen patrol, kitchen help. So they chimed in with a lot of their recipes. And going in the military, I was a very picky eater. I don't even know how I survived. But by trying, they forced these things on me, and I fell in love with it. And so they showed me how to prepare it. And so we'd have standardized menus, and then there were days where my officer would be like, just go at it, have it, you do what you want. And that day that she allowed me to create my own menus, to put out what I wanted, that was a wrap for me. I was like,
Wow.
this is my life.
Bettina, do you have a question? She too was in the military.
Yes,
and
Bettina is Air Force. She is
she
Air
carried-
Force.
I was impatient.
And she carried a weapon. But Tina, you have any questions?
We're gonna wait for her just for a second because she's
Yeah.
got a little delay.
And you're on mute as well, Bettina. I don't know if she
While we
could.
wait on Bettina,
Yeah.
um, Simone, you had chimed in. She chimed in on the conversation we were having about Chris Rock. And what did you say? You said they'll never be friends.
No, I would never. First of all, you done slapped me on national TV. The whole world done seen it. It done went viral. They got TikToks on it. Absolutely not.
I told her when they're old, maybe in their
First of
80s,
all,
they might be. But she said
well,
they might have dementia. And I said, well, that'll be the time for them to be friends because nobody will remember it.
no,
Hold on,
somebody,
guys.
somebody gonna-
I think Bettina's trying to chime in. Go ahead, Bettina. Okay, I think we lost her for a second, but go ahead. You said at 80 and 90 when dementia is
No,
setting.
because what's going to happen is the grandchildren have now come along and they're going to be like, Granddaddy, look at this on TikTok. And
But
he going to remember, and that's going to be it.
and then they're gonna come after Will's grandkids, great grandkids. They're gonna try to right a wrong.
And then somebody gonna make a movie. I told y'all somebody gonna make a movie.
It's gonna be an
Oh, my
ongoing
goodness.
feud.
I wouldn't be
Absolutely.
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, but no, poor guy.
So how did you end up
Food
on
Network.
yes, the Food Network? What was the journey to get there?
I've always watched Food Network as a child, and back in then, at that time, they were actually cooking and not doing all this competing that they're doing. But I always watched the show, and I had a chef. Well, he wasn't a chef; he was a almost like an apprentice. He was helping us in the kitchen, and I think because I'd given a lot over to my kitchen staff, they didn't think I still had it. So I was like, okay, let me bring me a photographer up in here because clearly y'all have forgotten. So I did all of these dishes, and I had applied before, but it didn't even get looked at, and it probably didn't because of the timing and because of the types of pictures. Your lighting has to be on point when you send these pictures in. And so once I did that, and I remember watching Cooks versus Cons, that was the first show I was on. And I remember the Lord saying to me, now you can apply. And so literally, I'm watching Cooks versus Cons, applying at the same time, sending all my stuff in, and I promise you, in 3 days, I got a call.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Like, what was that like? What was that feeling like?
For real, I lost my mind. Them people, I said, if y'all don't pick me, just because y'all called, I'm excited. I was just so excited. And I knew if God put this out here for me, and He was like, "Now is the time. Go ahead and do it." I knew it wasn't going to stop with just an interview. And so I got on that show. Oh my God, Lord, it was just the best feeling. I had so much fun, and I think that's what segued into me getting into Food Network, the next show, Food Network Stars, because I was talking to everybody on set, from the janitor to the cameraman. I was just so friendly, and so they were like, "We got a show for you next," and that was the next show.
You had
I
your
want to
own.
tell you, she was running around on people on there, and then she had her little self. She was working with, I think they were working in teams on Food Network Stars, and the
Hmm.
person was moving too slow, and Simone was everywhere. She was just running. I was like, look at this child running everywhere. So you had that together. It wasn't like you were an amateur. They put you on the right show, because some people when they get on there, they're kind of starstruck and the camera and all of that. So
Well,
you just seemed like you were comfortable.
I was, but I got into my own way, and that's why I didn't get too far, because that's what the producers were like. They were like, "How you were the first one to get all your ingredients? You the first one to do." What happens? They put that camera and there's a timer, and I wasn't used to the timer. The timer scared me more than the camera, and
Oh, yeah.
so it caused a block, and I just really I went down from there. But my hope is to get back on there once we get some things settled up here in Georgia. That's my next goal, is to get back on.
Well,
Absolutely. Go ahead, Vanessa.
well, what advice would you give to someone who's trying to travel, in that same journey, down that same road, who might want to be on TV, might have their own cooking show, you know?
First, I would tell someone that's wanting to venture out. into the chef world, be realistic because it's not it's a lot of hard work. It doesn't, all that glitters isn't gold. That saying. You really gotta know what you want. Um, and with the culinary field being so vast and so wide, you can go anywhere. But what a lot of people don't realize, you want to be the chef of your business, sure, but when you start growing, you can't cook, be over there, be over here, be
Right.
you have to make a decision. And for me, I decided my best place for me is to be in front of the people. I need cooks in the back while I'm in the front. So I would tell them, first, definitely go out and travel the world. Don't just stay in your little igloo and just cook that. Be adventurous. Get out there and just travel and try different things. Open up your mind, because there's with food, it's man, you can take it any so many places.
Did you apprentice anywhere overseas, like Paris or
Oh
any
man,
other place?
no, I wish. I wish. My plan was before I had ended up divorced and homeless, that was to take that money that we were supposed to get from the sale of the house and do just that in Italy. I had already planned it. I was going to Florence. I was going to live there for like 30 days to 90 days. That was my goal. Like, this is what I have. I knew where I was going to stay, and it didn't work out that way. Not at all. But I'm grateful that when I meet friends, I try to meet I try to meet friends that are their cooks. Either they cook or their mama cook, and they're from somewhere else, like they're from another country, so that I can glean from them. And I've
Mhm.
been blessed to be able to do that with Asian food, Moroccan food, and of course German.
So that's interesting, Simone. So how do you see? Well, let me say there's two questions. The first one is a lot of times first of all, I don't watch the Food Network because my hips would be in the street, right? You see something on there and you just want to go out and go get, that does not help my cravings. Therefore, I don't hang out on the Food Network. But do you find it that it's more men? Because older shows outside of Julia Child, you had men who were doing the cooking. Even when you had the guy, I can't remember his name, was Bam. Everything he kind of
Oh,
did.
like Emerald.
Emerald, yeah. So again, you saw more males, and the only time I really saw women was Julia Child. No one can ever understand what she was saying because her voice was so high and it was squeaky. So I was like, "What is she saying?" But also being a black woman, how does that look? Because you tend to get typeset into, if you're not Aunt Jemima, we don't want to talk to you. So how
Yeah.
do you navigate that?
Um, I'll say this. For me, because black girl, what kind of food you make? And so I said soul food for all people, because every culture has a soul food.
Mm-hmm.
They just heard soul food, and so I got casted as a soul food girl. And now I'm up here making all these other stuff that ain't soul food. But who
Right,
told you that it is?
right.
So you have to be clear. And I learned that once I got off the show. When I made a dish and they was like, well, if you're Caribbean, then you should be Caribbean. But you're white. Do I tell you that you need to make only the white people food? And
Absolutely.
honestly, the food that they're even creating and making themselves are from other cultures. It's not even from their own, typically,
Hmm.
unless you're Irish, Italian. You're a foreigner. You've come from somewhere else. But it is definitely, you have to kind of make that stance. And for me, like, when you see our people go up there, it's always soul food. They're going to make a soul food dish. It's very rare, and if you do see someone out that comes out of the box and do something different, it's because their family line is has influenced them. Say, for instance, they're from the Caribbean islands or from somewhere else, then
Hmm.
that will come and turn a play. But for us, it's like we can only cook one thing, and that's been my issue. It's like, well, you're black, so you make this, and we can. It's so many things that we can do.
But it must come to a surprise to them to see you cooking something other than fried chicken or collard greens or something soulful.
It does, especially with my clients. They're like, "What? You can make?" Yes, I can. Yes, I
Yeah.
But I think that that is so great, because it helps people be exposed to. People typically try to lock you into. I'm
Right.
5'9". The first thing they hear is you must have played basketball. You must have, because you're tall for a woman, or they see certain things and you must be. So it
Yeah.
helps break that out, and that must be a joy to do for you. What do you think?
I do. I think we all should make our lane. I think so many of us now are being cloned. We're doing the same dances on TikTok. Everybody's doing the same exact thing. And I think you need to find out what your lane is and stick to that. No matter what anybody else is doing. If this is your lane and you have great success in that lane, do it. I don't believe in locking yourself into just one or two things because, we're all human beings that were created, and as we were created we're uniquely made. That means that there's several gifts inside of us. There's several things that we can do. So yeah, I think if this is your thing and you want to cook soul food, knock yourself out. I just feel like, up the street is another soul food person. And it's fried chicken. Okay, so you dip yours in buttermilk. Well, I mean, it's
Right.
only so many different variations you can take it. So go for the gusto, I say. Just try to learn different things and be open.
So what's your end goal? Is it to have your own television show or restaurants or both, or
All
what
of
do
the
you
above. So for me, not a restaurant. I just, because I don't do one thing, I'd have to pick a few things. So I don't know how that would even come to my mind. And I really, for me, it's parties. I love having and giving parties. So event space is one of the things that I would like. We're currently working on a commissary here in Georgia because um, you have all of these great cooks, but there's no place. I don't know where they're cooking. There's not many shared kitchen spaces here, and so one of my goals is to start that out first, so we can have a space for other culinary professionals to cook. So that's one thing, and I do want my own. I want some kind of show. That
Uh-huh.
show would probably be geared towards children because I do like. If I do cooking class, I love the kids because they're so freaking honest. And I think, I get a lot of parents like, my kids are so picky and they just don't eat vegetables. And I get them and I'm like, just come on in the kitchen and let's knock out this vegetable you don't like. And then they end up eating it.
You
So
know what?
it's
That is a great idea, because there was something when my son was coming up and they had it for children. And they would bring about six of them in and they would make, something, and they would get to take it home with them.
mhm.
It was a while back. I haven't seen it again. So are you thinking of something like that where they learn how to be able to make things?
Mhm. So you can get them to eat more healthier because people
Right.
don't parents complain about their kids not eating this and that, but you don't realize they were in your womb first. So
Right.
however you ate, that's how they're gonna eat. So they're gonna eat whatever's in their house culture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a great point. The other thing that, to that point, I noticed, Vanessa, you tell me, and we're relatively all within the same age group. I don't see a lot of these younger children learning how to cook. So you see the commercials. You see Simone's face. Look at her face. So you say, the reason I say this is they're coming up with a lot of things, and I don't know, Vanessa, do you see this where we deliver it and it's already together, and
That's
all
why
you
they're
had to
not
do.
learning how to cook.
Yes. So I'm just trying to understand: is it me, or are these parents no longer teaching their children to cook?
They're not, and the children don't want to learn. And then when it comes time for them to get out on their own and have to cook for themselves, they wonder why they can't get the children out of their houses because they didn't learn to cook. But then you've got DoorDash and all these other places who will deliver, and like you said, you've got all these meal kits. All you have to do, it tells you step by step how to do it. I mean, you're following directions anyway. If you can read, you can follow a direction,
And some of
hopefully.
them aren't even doing the meal kits because you got to cook still. See, so if I got to turn on, I'm not gonna do that. I can tell you when we were doing mostly weddings, the trends were for the ages of like 25 to 33 ish. It was food trucks and action stations where everything was kind of just done and There's no formal eating, dining, formal dining.
Right.
It takes a certain type of client and customer that would request that. And typically they're older, and if they're younger, they have an old soul, is what I found.
For formal eating. Because I
Mhm.
remember, growing up, we had to all sit at the table, and you ate what Mama cooked. It wasn't like, I don't like that, I don't want that, and then she goes in the kitchen and fix. At least in my house, it wasn't. It wasn't like she fixed certain different things for different people.
Um,
You ate it, or you went to bed hungry.
or you just sat there and it was cold by the
You
time,
still and
like
you
I
still
had
ate
tea.
it, and you still ate it.
I
Or my
luckily I,
grandfather would do weird things, and his last name was Darby. So when we didn't have nothing in the refrigerator, because you remember when you didn't have nothing, they had to put stuff together, and he called it the Darby Special. I was a little afraid when he said Darby's, because we didn't know what it was, a conglomerate, and the reason I was afraid was whenever he would cook, the kitchen was toe up, right? So I didn't, and we as the grandchildren had to clean it. So I was like, what did you do to this kitchen? But it was the responsibility of the child to cook. I mean, to clean up the kitchen. So,
right.
but when you ate it, it tasted good. So you just didn't know what it was. But I don't even see that creativity now where they're trying to put things together. It's just I can't cook. I'm going to have some delivery service come and drop something off, or something that's already ready made, and go from there. But there doesn't seem to be an interest. So I wonder if now that the tide is changing about college degrees and learning trades, maybe cooking will come back to be something that is something. What do you think, Shimon?
If you want to live, yes. And I think there are some that are they're working, they're trying to get the healthiest food they can, because there is another set way of people that are, they're just more health conscious. So they are cooking their meals, they're leaning towards more healthier types of varieties. So and with that wave, they have to cook because there's not many fast food places that cater to that. Everything, like where I live, my neighborhood today alone, I'm just like, my God, I should be making so much more money than what I'm doing. All of these restaurants, from Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, all these places are lines wrapped around the building. So that tells you this is what our kids, this is what they're eating. This is also the reason why autism is on the rise. All these different diseases that can't nobody pronounce is coming out because of what we're doing with our bodies today, what we're putting in our bodies.
Absolutely. So
I
so
agree.
as a woman, as a black woman, what do you see for the future for you? I know you said you want to be able to work with kids. How do you see your impact on the world?
So for me, I'm a certified nutritionist now, and I'm getting certified to be an emotional wellness coach. And so for me, because of the mental health issues that's coming out, what I'm finding is there more pill pushing than there is um, counseling, and how food is related to your emotions and your well being. And so for me, that's one of the things that I'll be introducing with my clients, is how can we, whatever issue you may have, because not all my clients, some of my clients are like, listen, I ain't got no time to cook. I need you to do this. And then I have clients that have chronic pain. And so they're thinking that they're just getting a chef to prepare meals because they can't, it's too painful for them to cook and stand and cook their meals. And I'm like, I'm the one that goes through the whole assessment form, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, well, you have what? How many surgeries have you had? So those are the things that I want to tap into. I want to get more deeper into healing the body from a holistic place.
That would be
Very
amazing. And
interesting, especially
I
now
could
that
see that in a
yeah.
corporate, because corporate is starting to finally accept wellness. And
Mm.
when they
Not
think
just
wellness,
corporate, but people in general are finally starting to
yeah,
try to take ownership of their own bodies and try to lead a healthier life. There are people building their own gardens.
Yes.
I, for one, if I can get it going, But you do have people who are trying to take ownership of their own bodies, trying to eat healthier. That's why you have the keto diets and things like that have taken off.
Especially when you have a country where health is not number one. We don't,
Exactly.
we're paying so much money for the,
Mm-hmm.
for the very basic things.
Exactly.
And no
And,
cures.
and with inflation, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, but
No
what I
cures,
was saying about
cancers.
corporate in particular, that they're starting to adapt to, that we need to take care of our employees. I agree with Vanessa.
Oh,
That we're starting to recognize the importance, but corporate was never always on board. So if we working late, what they're gonna do? They're gonna order pizzas, and
Well,
this is what it's gonna be.
but I was listening to something. Someone that was like, I don't know who it was that said, women run the world. If we had more women in corporate America than these men, absolutely, because we are nurturers. This country we probably wouldn't have all these goddamn guns and wars and all this nonsense that's going on because we
Nope.
have so many men running this country talking about, well, my stuff's bigger than your stuff, and it's just ego. And I just think, women, we get in because we raise families, we're the center of the community.
Yep.
And so there's a lot that we can carry. Men think that they can carry so much. Some of them can't even multitask.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's true.
if there were more of us in the office, in a more corporate, in a higher position, I think absolutely we would have a more even keel on certain things.
Absolutely. Well, how can we get in touch? How can someone get in touch with you and find out about tasting your wonderful dishes?
So my email is hello, HELLO, at Chef Samone, SAMONE.com. And my website is Red Door. The name of the company is Red Door Events and Catering. Yeah. So we focus mostly on personal chef services. We were on the verge of film and all of that, and we do, but we've paused it because of just the workflow that's a whole nother conversation on another day.
Well, we're happy to have you, and I've got to make a mental note of that as well because I may need your services at some point in the near future. So it's such a pleasure to have you on this show, and we
y'all
pray
for
that God
having me. This
continues
was
to send people
great.
your way, send clients your way, and just that you have overflow more than you could ever have.
I appreciate it.
As far as clientele is concerned. So it's been such a pleasure.
And we want you to stay on after we end the show because we have some information. Maybe we can help you with that kitchen, with trying to get that commissary kitchen. And we can definitely talk to you. So we are so grateful that you were on the show today, as Vanessa said, and just stopping by, letting people know your wonderfulness about what you do. And we're just celebrating all women this month. We celebrating all women 12 months out of the year. We just ain't going to do this month. It's every month, okay?
Yeah,
because we deserve that. We definitely deserve that. But we enjoy our listeners, and we thank you so much for being part of the show today and listening to us. Check us out in 2 weeks. We'll be back with another conversation. We're going to focus on women because that's what we're doing this month. But we'll see you guys back in 2 weeks. Take care.
Get ready for Sonia, Teresa, Vanessa, Bettina. Come on. Say what? Come on. Say what? We got Pam. Hot topics. We got what the fudge. So bring it home. Say what? Bring it home. Say what? We got questions. We got the answers. You wanna cheat? You wanna chat? You wanna talk about this and talk about that? You're in the right place to hear the facts. Bring it home. Say what? Bring it home. Say what? The ladies are bringing the conversation. So join us on Say What across the nation. Bring it on, y'all. Say what?